This is your host, Amanda Fowler, and you're listening to Just Man's the podcast, the place where I empower you to be who you are, say what you want, and do what you dream. Here you'll find candid conversations surrounding the complexities of life, everything from womanhood, career, and self-growth to friendships, relationships, and opinions that feel a bit taboo. But I'm not just here to offer you tips and tricks to figuring it all out. Fuck that. I'm here to talk about it all. The shit that nobody wants to talk about. To air the laundry without it feeling dirty. Think of this as conversations with cool people and brain dumps that I decided to share with you instead of my journal. Because oversharing is kind of my love language. And if it's yours too, we'll get along just fine. What is up, my friends? Welcome back to Just Man's the podcast. I'm in this interesting energy today. I'm recording this on the 8/8 portal, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's sort of like this big day in numerology where it's a powerful time to manifest. So the number 8 is really representative and symbolic of confidence, of power, of, fertility, but also just like setting goals and achieving these goals of abundance, right? It's a really powerful day of manifesting abundance. And I am going to a little Lionsgate portal gathering tonight with my coworkers. And I figured this would be the perfect time to officially launch on the podcast my new job. And that's why I'm dressed in this like cutie little, it's like a cherub with angel wings, gold and black dress if you're not watching on YouTube. And I actually got it today because my boss texted me and texted everybody and was like, the theme for tonight is like everything that citrine can give you, right? Like everything that the stone citrine, which is like warmth, joy, energy, kind of anything that the sun gives you is what we're going for tonight, because that is the stone of manifestation is citrine. And so she's like, wear yellows, golds, and oranges. And I went to a coffee shop this morning with a little vintage like thrift store in it. And I was with Ethan, which is Lucas's best friend from college, who is currently living with us. And he pulled out this dress and was like, oh my gosh, I feel like you need this. And because he's seen me like go into my apprenticeship with work and then start my work. And I have to wear kind of elevated, fun, chic, but also quirky looks. Like I kind of just have to like look my best, which is another reason why I love the job. And he's like seen my outfits and he's like, this would be a sick outfit to wear to work. And with like the whole Lionsgate portal energy, the fact that I'm going to the gathering tonight, I was like, this is the perfect dress for tonight. So that is why I'm wearing this cutie little outfit. But tonight I'm doing a little Lionsgate portal with all my coworkers. And to officially launch what my work is, I am a jewelry designer at Love Sorrow. And if you don't live in Denver, if you don't live in Boulder, if you don't know what Love Sorrow is, we also have a Melrose location in California for all my California girlies. It is custom fine jewelry. We do permanent jewelry, but we really specialize in storytelling. So what kind of sets us apart in the permanent jewelry space is that we only work in solid material, and we work with gemstones, and we're all about the healing properties of the gemstones and really all about like telling your story through your jewelry, and more specifically using your jewelry as a way to be the physical representation of what you're trying to manifest, what you're trying to achieve, your goals, people that you love, something that you love, who you are. So it's really about telling your story through jewelry, but also playing around with spirituality and mindset and healing and health and wellness, and kind of tying in self-expression and fashion and style with confidence in who you are and identity and self-worth and healing, right? Like your own spiritual personal growth with jewelry, which is literally probably the most spot on perfect job for me. Like if you have been listening to my podcast for years and years and years, or you follow me on Instagram, you know that I was a holistic health coach. And I have a background in holistic health, and I'm super into spirituality. I'm super into wellness. I'm super into astrology. I'm super into numerology. Like all of these things, I feel like just kind of morphed together. And this opportunity came up for me to work here. And I was like, this is the perfect job for me, because I also love fashion and self-expression. And it's just a beautiful blend of like Eastern wisdom with like Western kind of society and lifestyle and jewelry. It's a great I think the perfect way to put it is it feels like a job that beautifully blends the masculine and the feminine. The feminine, it beautifully blends the masculine and the feminine. It really blends like mindset and emotional well-being with physical, like everything on the physical plane. And I'm feeling so fulfilled. Like I work probably 4 to 5 times a week. I work on the weekends, but I love it. Like Lucas gets to spend quality time with the kids. It brings me so much creativity, so much inspiration, so much self-confidence. I'm learning so much. I'm meeting cool people, and I'm sitting in these appointments with people. And, people are coming in to either commemorate a death or commemorate a big life milestone, a big moment in life. They're celebrating a new relationship. They're celebrating a divorce. They're trying to accomplish these dreams. They're trying to have a baby. They're trying to better themselves or just be intentional, right? Like do something for themselves with intention, with meaning. And that's why I was so drawn to this position in the first place. Was I just love how meaningful all of the things that we do are. And so I'm really thriving. I'm loving it. And it's just the best. And I love that the way that me and my coworkers and the founders and owners of Love Sorrow get to bond is through super cool spiritual events like a Lionsgate portal tonight. So I hope that, because you're listening to this after Lionsgate, I hope you guys had a beautiful Lionsgate portal. I hope you guys had a lovely weekend. I have been 3 weeks free from caffeine. And again, if you have been around, you know that I have gone through my ups and downs with caffeine. I have been drinking caffeine, not drinking caffeine, going back to caffeine, only doing decaf, yada, yada, yada. And I don't even know. Oh, that's what happened. I got sick. I went to Aspen and then I came back and I had a raging headache. I don't even know what it was. I had a fever. I was bedridden for a solid 3 to 4 days. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to drink coffee anymore, because I obviously wasn't drinking coffee when I was sick. I was like, and caffeine has been really not serving me. It's been making me feel like I have massive brain fog. Every time I drink it, I'm more tired than I was before. And it just wasn't keeping me energized. It wasn't making me clear-minded. And so when I got sick and then I wasn't drinking coffee, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop. And honestly, this is the first time that I've given up caffeine where I'm like, I'm not waiting until the 30-day mark to go back. I really, really, really don't want to make it a part of my every single day anymore. I think, I've learned my lesson with toxic yo-yo dieting and fitness culture and all the things to know that I'm not going to be like, I'm never drinking coffee or caffeine again, right? Like I'm not going to speak in absolutes, but I want to make it more of like I'm traveling in Europe, I'll have a cappuccino. But when I come back, I'm not drinking coffee again. Or, it's a weekend or Lucas and I are out in a, for like a vacation or like little weekend getaway or whatever, I'll drink a decaf. But like what I've been realizing is it's not even the caffeine that affects me. It's the coffee. The other day I had a decaf coffee because I just wanted like a warm beverage, and I literally felt brain fog. And so that leads me to believe that maybe I'm just allergic to like the coffee bean itself. I've also heard that coffee in the way that it's processed can be moldy. So maybe that's what's affecting me. But nevertheless, I feel so much better about having it out of my system. I haven't even done matcha or anything. I've been doing a lot of rooibos tea, or is it like rooibos? I don't know. I used to drink it growing up actually because my mom loved it. It's a South African tea, and it's probably one of my favorite teas ever. It's so delicious. It tastes so smooth and just yummy. I'm not like a big sweet person, and so some teas I like just can't drink because I feel like they are like sweet. But I've been doing that. I've been doing peppermint tea. I've been doing chamomile tea, turmeric lattes, hot cacaos. Like I've been finding other things to supplement with it, but I also haven't been craving a caffeinated beverage in the morning. I just feel so much more energized, and it probably speaks to the fact that my hormones were all out of whack, right? And my cortisol levels were low because they were so high for so long. So I'm figuring it out, but I feel like doing no caffeine is a huge step in the right direction to healing my hormones and just feeling my best. And it's funny because I never know like who cares about me sharing about whether I'm drinking coffee or not. Like, who cares? But I grabbed coffee. I was at the Den with this gal who was saying that she listens to my podcast, and she related to when I said that I wasn't doing coffee anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, those are like the little things that I'm like, should I even share this? Do people even care that people resonate with the most? So let me know if you guys are here for these little life updates and chats about what's going on with me. Because I like sharing them, but I don't know if you guys are interested in it. Anyway, I wanted to sit down and record an episode because we, meaning Lucas and I, and Ethan, who is our like basically roommate for the last 2 months, basically live in Manny because he's so good with the kids and always helps us out when we're in a pinch. We all went to Sydney and Jayson's wedding. And I think I was talking about how I got some of my dresses off of Nuuly to prepare for their wedding in the last Should I Give a Fuck, I think. And I was so obsessed with the dresses. They turned out so well. But we went to the wedding and it was fabulous. We did not bring the kids, which honestly, like, I am all for traveling with kids. I want my kids to see the world and I want them to be able to travel, and they do well with travel. But when it comes to weddings, it's really hard to attend all of the happenings and activities and events when you also have two kids that have like, you know, so much energy that they don't want to sit down at a table, or they have a bedtime or whatever, right? Like, it's just not the most ideal for optimal enjoyment as an adult and a parent. So they stayed home with my parents for the last 4 days, and I was kind of sad because I had worked 5 days in a row before leaving for the wedding. So it was 5 days in a row that I worked. I only saw them morning and night, and then the 4 days that we were gone. So it was like a total of 9 days of not really spending quality time with them. And when I came back, I had to go to work again. And then I had 2 full days of just being with them. And it was so nourishing for all of us, like me and the boys. It was just so nice. I think it was much needed on both ends. I could tell that they were a lot more clingy when I dropped them off at daycare today. But you know what? Like, mama's got dreams, mama's got goals, and mama is a happier, better, more patient mama, more present mama when she can be fulfilled. And for me, that's through work. But anyway, I digress. What I was saying is the wedding was beautiful, and I wanted to do a little recap of the wedding because it kind of got me thinking about my own wedding that I didn't have. Let's start from the beginning, though. So we left on Wednesday, and we got to Northern Michigan. We flew to Traverse City, and then the wedding was in Charlevoix, which was the cutest little town. But we were smart because we rented a car, and a lot of the people who attended the wedding also did not rent cars because I thought they were going to be Ubers, which I just like can't even justify spending so much money for Ubers for 4 days straight. Like, I'm always renting a car over getting Ubers any day, but they didn't rent a car. So we ended up being like kind of the carpool car. It was fine. It's fine. But one of the most special things about going to that wedding was that I feel like I've said this before, but Lucas has the most amazing group of friends in the world. Like, there is not one of his friends in that friend group that I don't love. And I think that's pretty rare. All of these men, these guys are just like so in touch with their masculine and their feminine. They're my biggest hype men, hype men. They're just like so supportive, so engaging, so curious about like me and the kids, and just like cool. Like, they're cool guys, and I think that's really rare. And then I also love their girlfriends. Like, it's funny because I've kind of been the girlfriend that has been around the longest because Lucas and I started dating at 16. And so I've seen some of these guys have other relationships, or not even relationships, but just like girls around. And I love the girls that they have now. And I hope that they are around for a lifetime because the whole time, I was just dreaming of us all getting like a big lake house for like 2 weeks. We all bring our kids and we just have a ball, because that's the energy that I am just craving. And I'm realizing it's because growing up, I had that. Like, my parents had a bunch of friends that had a bunch of kids, and we all did things together. Like, every holiday we would spend like just us, and then at night everyone would come over, all of our friends would come over, and we'd like have a blast. And so that's something that I'm realizing is important to me, is having that big community that we do things together. And not only like just as parents, we like all have our kids together, even though none of them have kids yet. But if you guys are listening to this, TikTok, Lennox and Alice need cousins. Anyway, Wednesday we got there, we did a little bonfire at Sydney and Jay's Airbnb. It was so lovely. I got to meet some of Sydney's bridesmaids that I hadn't met before, and their significant others. It was just so pleasant. Like, the word that comes to mind is just content. Like, sitting around that bonfire, drinking some wine, it just made me feel so content. And I was like, I don't want this night to end. It was just perfect. And it was so lovely to be with Lucas too, without the kids, because we've been so go between my work, his work, culinary school, the kids, everything. We hadn't had quality time in a really long time. So it was beautiful. And then Thursday, what did we even do Thursday? I feel like we just kind of walked around. Oh, we went to the lake, which, by the way, being a Florida girl, I've literally never been in a body of water that I don't have to worry about snakes or alligators or sharks. So being in the Lake Charlevoix was just so odd. It was like a big bath. And I was so nervous to jump in the water, because I don't know why, but ever since I moved to Colorado and I'm not by the ocean or in a lake all the time, like I used to be, I'm like a little fearful of bodies of water, where before I didn't have an issue. Like, I would go into the ocean, I'd be in there for hours. Like, I'd go into a lake, I'd tube. I wouldn't swim in a lake, to be honest, but I would tube in a lake, and I would, fall off a jet ski. Actually, now that I think about it, I have always been nervous about lakes. Lakes have always given me like kind of an ick because of snakes and alligators just growing up in Florida. And the Florida lakes are like murky. They're not clear. They're not blue. They're like gross. So when I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to swim. I can't wait to get out. And so we swam, and it was awesome because they have these like beaches, but it was so weird because it wasn't salt water. Like, I felt like I was in the ocean, but it wasn't salty. And then I was like, no, I'm in a lake, but why is it blue, and why is nothing trying to eat me? You know what I mean? I don't know. It was weird, but it was a blast. It was beautiful. It was so needed, because being from Colorado and being landlocked, we have reservoirs here and we have the creek, but it's like cold and you don't really swim. So I was so happy to swim. And that just made my day. And then that night we had the rehearsal dinner for Sydney and Jay's wedding. And Lucas was the best man at this wedding, so he didn't speak. It was funny. Sydney's grandma made like a toast, and then I think somebody else made a toast. I can't remember who. I think maybe her other grandma. Somebody else did. And then it was like open speeches where everybody could just like say their piece. And everyone was looking at Lucas like, Lucas, you gonna say something? And he's like, my speech is tomorrow. Like, I'm the best man. I speak at the wedding. You guys go. So like 6 of Jay's friends in their friend group came up, and some of them had written down speeches. Others just spoke off the cuff, like straight off the dome, and they crushed. And it just was so beautiful to watch. And I didn't realize that there was going to be open speeches until that day, I believe, or maybe the night before. And if I had known that, I definitely would have written something out, because this might be a surprise to you guys because I get on a podcast and I can talk. But when it comes to like speeches and like having something really poignant that I want to say, I'm not good off the cuff. I'm a writer. Like, the reason I think I can create reels that are compelling and like talk to a camera and like make a point on my Instagram reels or my TikTok reels is because I write everything down beforehand and then I speak it out, Podcast is just more like a conversation. I feel like that's why I'm fine with it. But when it comes to like actually telling a speech and making it make sense and making it cohesive and telling a story, but then also tying it out and tying it back to like the actual message that I'm trying to get across, I got to write that shit down. So I didn't end up saying a speech, and I kind of wish that I did, but I didn't have time to write it down. Anyway, I actually did get the pleasure though of helping Jay and Sid write their vows. I didn't really help them a whole lot because they had their vows written down and they were already so impressive and eloquent and beautiful. It was just more about like, let's just tighten this up. Let's take these things out. Let's put this in, like, just like editing, right? And it was honestly the greatest honor that I could ever receive is like two people that I respect so much who are getting married and professing their love to each other, asking for me to review it and edit it and share my input. Like, it was just really, really special. And then after the rehearsal dinner, the next day was wedding day. And I'm trying to think of what we actually did for wedding day. I know the boys went over to like the house and they all got ready together. Oh, I got my hair done. I got a blowout, which was kind of stupid because then I ended up just putting my hair up, but it was nice. I liked getting a blowout. I love getting a blowout. If there's one thing that I will pay for, actually there's a few, but if there is one thing, like my top 3 that I'll be paying for is getting my nails done and getting a blowout and getting acupuncture. That's like the 3 things that I will always throw my wallet down for. But anyway, then we got to the wedding and the wedding was so incredible. Like, everything from the ceremony to the reception to like the details, the music, the dancing, the bar, like the photo booth. It was a perfect wedding. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. It was a perfect wedding. And I got to meet so many cool people in the social media industry and just like, again, spend time with all of the people that I love, like Lucas's best friends and their girlfriends, and meeting Sydney's family. And it was so magical. And then, they did the speeches and Lucas did his speech and he killed his speech. And it's funny because I asked him, I was like, cause he was pretty nervous for his speech. And I asked him, I was like, do you want to like say it to me and I'll let you know what I think, or, just practice. And he's like, no, I want you to hear it first when I actually speak it. And I was like, okay. So he did it and it was fabulous. He killed it. And it was funny because he made this joke where he like wanted to break the ice, and he was like, whenever you get up and public speak, people always just tell you if you're feeling nervous to just picture the audience naked. So my wife, Amanda, you look great tonight. And then everyone was like looking at me and I was like, oh my God. But it was funny. Like, to deliver a best man or a maid of honor speech, or even just any speech at a wedding, I feel like you have to be funny first and foremost. Like, you have to be entertaining through humor because everyone's there. Everyone's engaged on you. Everyone wants to laugh, but then you also have to sprinkle in like emotions, right? You want to kind of make people cry. You want to make people like cry, then laugh, then cry, then laugh, And I just feel like all the speeches were so beautiful. Sydney's dad's speech to her and Jay were just, oh my gosh, I bawled my eyes out. Oh, I skipped over the actual ceremony. Whenever I'm at a wedding, I am always looking at the bride, right? When they come out and I'm looking at their gown because I didn't even know what Sydney's dress looked like. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me see what her dress looks like. I'm just like all eyes on her, we stand up, all eyes on her. But then I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? I want to see Jay though. I want to see Jay's reaction to her walking down the aisle. And I'm so glad that I turned my head and looked, because he was bawling his eyes out, just like, not really like bawling, but like crying and like trying not to bawl. You know what I mean? Like, just like, oh my God, trembling. It was so sweet to witness that. And I'm just wishing them a lifetime of happiness and joy and abundance and love. Like, they are truly a force to be reckoned with, them two as a couple. And I feel so lucky that I get to have them in my life. And I feel so lucky that I get to be inspired by them and walk through life with them, and hopefully one day our kids will be best friends. But this leads me to, again, the wedding that I didn't have, and why. Why am I even thinking about this? Well, I've been in a few other weddings, right? Like I've been in a few other weddings. I've been to other weddings. But I feel like the weddings that I was at before, I wasn't already married, or I had like just had a baby. So it wasn't on my mind. It wasn't anything I wanted to do. But I'm 2 years postpartum. Like I feel good again. I feel it in my body. Like I feel like my body is my body, like no one else's, right? I feel very in my individual power. And it was the first wedding that I went to where I was like, oh, fuck. I get it. This is why people have weddings. And I never used to be the girl that like dreamed about their wedding. I wasn't, I had a Pinterest board, like everyone. I had a Pinterest board of my future wedding, like what it would look like. But it wasn't like something I was going on all the time. It wasn't something that I was dreaming of. I was dreaming of, what is my career going to be? Am I going to live in New York City? Am I going to be an actress, singer, dancer, model, businesswoman? Like I just wanted to be something versus have a wedding. And I don't know. It just wasn't something that I ever dreamed of. I wanted one, but it wasn't like a dream that I was waiting to come true. And then Lucas proposed in 2021 after we had Lennox. Lennox was 10 months old when he proposed. And I was excited. We had an engagement party and I loved it. I loved having all of like the people that we loved in the same room. And then October rolls around and I find out I'm pregnant. We were planning a wedding. I had gotten my wedding dress. We scoped out a venue. We put a deposit down for the venue. And then I find out I'm pregnant. And not only do I find out I'm pregnant, I would have been like 8 months pregnant at our wedding. Which, all the power to the women who do that. And if that's something that you want to do, like, kudos to you. I did not want to get my wedding dress fit for my pregnant belly. I also wanted to be able to have a drink at my wedding. Like I wanted to walk down the aisle and feel like it was just me getting married, not me and my unborn child. So it just wasn't going to happen. And then, March rolled around and I was getting closer to having Ellis. And Lucas and I were just like, this feels so weird that we're in a house together. We have a child together. We're basically married. We're just not married. Like we were planning a wedding. We would have been married. We're just not married. So we were like, fuck it. Like, let's just go to the courthouse. Sorry, there was a bee. We were like, fuck it. Let's just go to the courthouse. Like, why do all this hoopla? Why wait? Like, let's just go. And so we went to the courthouse. I got this cute little white anthropology dress. And Lennox was there. It's so funny because in Colorado, you don't have to have a witness. So you don't have to have somebody like marrying you. You can, I think that like they sign off on it, the people at the marriage license office. But our witness, we didn't have to have like another witness. Our witness on our marriage license says ourselves. Like we married ourselves. But you know what? Looking back, I kind of wish we put Lennox because that would have been sick to have Lennox look back on that and be like, yeah, I married my parents like at 1.5. Like that's sick. But anyway, we just, and then we got married in the courthouse and that was that. And it felt good because then I changed my last name and I actually felt like, wow, okay, we are a unit, we are a family. Like it was a really big moment, but we didn't have that big moment of a wedding. And for a while, again, even after that, I didn't want one. Like I was postpartum again. I was focusing on my career, on my business. It just wasn't something that I felt I needed to do at the time. And I also feel like I had a kind of a weird idea of weddings. Like I thought they were just for everybody else. I thought that they were just like, paying a bunch of money that I could just put towards another house. Like I didn't think it was practical, And then I went to Sydney and Jay's wedding and I was like, damn, I want this. Which was so interesting to me because it was the first time that I had felt that. But I think it's because this is the first time that I have been, in 4 years in my body, haven't been pregnant for 2 years. I'm postpartum. I'm feeling like myself again. I feel really fulfilled in my career, which I hadn't really felt fulfilled in my career over the last 3 years. I've had fulfilling moments, but I always felt like I needed something else. And I just feel like I've kind of crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. And now I feel like I'm in this place of being able to allow myself to think about a wedding. And Lucas has always wanted a wedding. He always dreamed of being a dad and walking down the aisle one day. In a different order. He always dreamed about walking down the aisle first and then being a dad. So Lucas just has not had anything go his way. But, over the years, he definitely has mentioned that he wants a wedding and he would like to plan one, even though we already are married. Like he would like to have a wedding or, a celebration like that. He wants to have that moment. And I was just kind of always like, no, I just don't feel like it's the right time. I think I also felt like if I am going to have a wedding, I would rather be done with having my kids and then having them all be there versus having some of my kids, having a wedding and then having another kid. But I don't feel that way anymore because I definitely know that I want a third kid eventually. But I don't feel like I need to have all my kids now. I actually don't want to be pregnant right now at all. I want to be able to focus on my job. I want to be able to focus on my boys. I want to be able to grow with what I have now and then add a little bit later. And so I feel like I'm just finally in this place where I can see it now. There's space for it. And that leads me to kind of discussing I don't know. I feel like before I thought that weddings were just this big party that was for everybody else, right? It's just for everybody else to have a good time. It's for everybody else to watch you. It's for everybody else to hear your vows. It's for everybody else to cry and laugh and, whatever. And it is. It totally is. It's for everybody to get a slice of you. It totally is. But it's also for you. It's also to feel loved. I think the moment at their wedding that really made me go, I want this, was the rehearsal dinner night when everybody was doing speeches. And maybe it's just because I love speeches. Again, I need to be able to write one down before I can get up there and do one myself. But I love listening to speeches. It's probably why I'm drawn to podcasting, honestly. I love podcasts. I just love long form speaking. I love telling stories. I like listening to people tell stories. And I like listening to people express themselves. But, it was so, I was just in awe watching all of Lucas's friends come up and speak about Jay and speak about Sydney and share their love for them and say how they've inspired them and say, their wishes for them and just to shower them with love. It was such a cool thing to witness. I was crying for them. I was like, you guys are so loved. That's not everyone gets to express to you how much they love you all the time. And I think any moment you can get to have that be said to you, you should take. And so I think that was really the big moment where I was like, okay, I want to feel loved like this. I want to hear what my friends have to say about Lucas and I. I want to hear what my friends have to say about me. I want to hear, what Lucas's friends have to say about him. I just feel like that would be so once in a lifetime. That would be so special to receive, right? that love, those words, that would be so special to receive. And so it leads me to thinking okay, what can we do? I don't know that I need to have a wedding where I'm a full-on wedding where I'm walking down the aisle. There's a rehearsal dinner. There's a ceremony. I don't know if I need that, but I definitely need to wear my dress. I definitely need to have a big party. I think what I would love to do is like have a big outdoor reception where we're like all sitting at these big tables and there's big French doors. It's like a big ranch house with a huge backyard, and we're sitting down at these tables and there's big French doors, and Lucas is at the end of the tables, and maybe he has groomsmen and I have bridesmaids, but maybe not. I don't really think I want that. And then like the French doors open and I'm presented and I'm like walking up to him, and then we exchange our vows, and then we sit down, and then we like party and like eat food, and then everyone is able to come up and say a speech to us or like give us a speech. And then I have like a first dance with my dad or with Lucas, and then he has one with his mom, like that kind of vibe. And then just a big party, everyone gets to dance, and that's it. Just like a one-day affair. It doesn't need to be this whole like shebang. It just needs to be one day of shebang. Do you know what I mean? I think that could be fun. Kind of like a vow renewal. But here's the thing. I need to talk to both Lucas and I need to talk to an actual like wedding planner who does this and talk about the different ways that people have had weddings, because we don't want to do like the traditional way just because we're already married. I don't feel like we both think that would be authentic. Like, I don't know. I don't think I could walk down the aisle like that knowing that I'm already married to Lucas. Like, I feel like it has to feel a little different. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. So I need to talk to an actual wedding planner about this. If any of you are wedding planners or you know of somebody that I could chat with, let me know. But yeah, I think that like for so long, I thought that weddings were just about like other people, and also like now you belong to a man. And I didn't really fuck with that. But that's not what weddings are. I think maybe that's what they used to mean, but it's changed for sure. And it is so much more about like, you guys are starting a new chapter of marriage and life together. Let me send you on your way with love and joy and positivity and best wishes. Like, that's what a wedding is. Let me celebrate you guys. That's what it is. So all of this to say is that maybe I'll have a wedding. Maybe I won't. Maybe we'll do like a big party. Who knows? But I feel like it's wedding season, and this is the first time that I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, if you guys are getting married this upcoming year, 2025, or just like the rest of the year, if you guys are getting married soon, I hope that it is the most magical day of your life, because it is. Or if you guys are, getting engaged soon, if you just got married, like whatever. If nuptials are in your future, I just wish you the best. And I finally get the hype. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up here because it's getting hot outside and I need to go pick up the boys from school. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you in the next one.